Commander Alex adjusted the strap of his utility pack as he surveyed the rocky terrain ahead. The planet Varinthia was unlike anything he had ever seen. Towering cliffs of crimson stone, streaks of luminescent blue rivers, and skies that shimmered with green and gold light. Despite its beauty, the planet was dangerous. Patrol drones zipped through the air, and the palace walls of the alien monarchy loomed in the distance, an imposing silhouette against the strange sky. He had been sent on a mission that no human had dared before, to rescue Princess Liara, the alien heir to the throne, and bring her to the court herself. Rumors had reached Earth that she was being held against her will by a corrupt council that manipulated the king. No one in Varinthia dared challenge them except Alex. The human moved silently across the cliffside path, his boots crunching against the crystal-like soil. Every step required caution. Sensors hidden among jagged rocks could detect movement from hundreds of meters away. Alex paused and checked his wrist device, scanning for motion. Nothing. He took a deep breath. He was close. At the palace's rear, hidden in the shadow of the eastern tower, was the secret entrance to the princess's holding chamber. According to his intelligence, the council had tried to erase all traces of her existence. But Alex had spent months piecing together clues, decoded communications, secret patrol routes, and mechanical schematics. He was ready. Liara had been observing the palace from behind reinforced barriers. She was smaller than most of her people, with pale blue skin and hair that shimmered like liquid silver. Her eyes, a deep violet, reflected intelligence and determination. Despite the council's attempts to intimidate her, she had never lost hope. When Alex appeared on her comlink, she recognized a human's unique sense of calm bravery, a rare quality in the galaxy. "You're here," she whispered through the secure channel, her voice tinged with relief. "I am," Alex replied evenly, "and I'm not leaving without you. But we have to move carefully. One wrong step and they'll lock you away again, or worse." Liara studied him for a moment, then nodded. "I trust you. I have no other choice." The chamber's door was heavily guarded, but Alex was prepared. He activated a small device that emitted a pulse, temporarily disabling the electronic locks and cameras. With a gentle click, the door slid open. Liara peeked out, her eyes widening at the sight of the human standing calmly in the corridor. Alex offered his hand. "Stay close. We'll move fast and no one can stop us if we stay smart." She hesitated, then took his hand. The moment her fingers touched his, a sense of reassurance spread through her. They moved together, silent and swift, weaving through corridors and dodging patrols. The palace was a maze of hallways, observation rooms, and surveillance hubs, each more secure than the last. But Alex had studied every detail. He led her through hidden maintenance shafts and narrow stairwells, bypassing guards who would have easily overpowered her. Outside, the night sky of Varinthia was breathtaking. Alex and Liara crouched behind a jagged rock, catching their breath. From this vantage point, the palace looked impregnable. Towers stretched into the sky, their surfaces glinting with alien metal, and bright spotlights swept across the grounds. "We have to go through the main plaza," Alex whispered. "It's risky, but it's the only way to reach the court entrance. Once you're there, the people inside will hear you. They need to see you. Your presence is proof that the council can't control everything." Liara's expression hardened with determination. "Then we do it. I won't let them control me any longer. Not today." Together they dashed across the open plaza, moving from shadow to shadow. Drones detected movement and warning lights flashed, but Alex's quick thinking saved them. He used small projectiles to create diversions, sending the drones off course. Liara followed his lead, learning quickly. She had spent her life in confinement, but now she felt alive with purpose. As they neared the court's entrance, Alex whispered, "Remember, Princess, every eye will be on you. Stand tall. Speak clearly." They must hear the truth. Liara nodded, her heart pounding. She had rehearsed her words in secret over and over. Now the moment of action was at hand. The grand doors of the court were massive, made of dark metal and engraved with symbols of power and authority. Inside, the council and the king would be waiting. Alex gave her one last reassuring nod. "It's your stage now." With a deep breath, Liara stepped forward, followed closely by Alex. The doors groaned as they opened, revealing the throne room bathed in golden light. Hundreds of courtiers and guards turned to stare. Whispers filled the hall. A human had never entered like this, and a princess appearing in such a bold way was unheard of. The king, seated at the far end of the hall, rose slowly. His expression was a mixture of surprise and caution. Beside him, the council members stiffened, their faces masks of anger and fear. They had not expected anyone to defy their orders, let alone a human. Alex stepped beside Liara, his posture calm and confident. "Your Majesty," he said in the common galactic tongue, "I bring Princess Liara before her people. She has urgent matters to discuss regarding the safety and integrity of your kingdom." The king's eyes widened. This is unprecedented," he murmured, his voice carrying a note of both concern and curiosity. "No human has ever brought an alien heir to the court without permission." Alex did not flinch. "Permission is not needed when the truth is at stake. Princess Liara has been held against her will, and the council's actions must be addressed before more damage is done." Gasps echoed through the hall. The courtiers whispered among themselves, some nodding, some frowning. The council members exchanged panicked glances, realizing their schemes were about to be exposed in front of everyone. Liara straightened her shoulders and lifted her chin. "I stand here today not as a captive, but as the voice of the people and the future of this kingdom," she announced, her voice ringing clear and strong. "For too long, decisions have been made in secret, favoring only a few while endangering the many. I will no longer allow corruption to thrive in the shadows." A murmur of approval swept through the court. Even some of the king's closest advisors leaned forward, intrigued by her words. The king himself remained silent, his hands gripping the armrests of his throne, torn between loyalty to his council and the undeniable courage of the human and the princess before him. Alex stayed by her side, ready to act if the council tried anything foolish. He had studied their tendencies, knew their weaknesses, and understood that one bold move could change the course of the kingdom. This human was not just a visitor, he was a force that even the king would have difficulty ignoring. The council whispered furiously among themselves, plotting a quick response. Guards shifted nervously. For the first time, uncertainty entered the hearts of those who had always believed themselves untouchable. Liara took another step forward. "The people deserve transparency. The council must answer for its actions, and I will not be silenced. With the king's guidance, or even without it, we will face the truth together." The king's gaze lingered on her. He had always believed his authority was absolute. Yet here was a human, calmly standing by her side, and a princess defying every tradition in front of his court. For the first time, he wondered if the rules of his kingdom were about to change forever. Alex's eyes scanned the hall. The moment was delicate. One wrong move by anyone could ignite chaos, but he had anticipated every possibility. He was ready to support Liara, not just with words but with strategy, skill, and determination. The council's leader stepped forward, his face pale. "Your Majesty," he said, voice trembling slightly, This human cannot simply bring a princess before the court. It is not allowed." Alex's voice cut through the tension like steel. "What is allowed cannot ignore justice. What is allowed cannot hide the truth. Princess Liara has the right to speak. The people have the right to hear." The court fell silent. Even the king hesitated, realizing that the situation was no longer simple. Tradition clashed with courage, authority with truth. The balance of power had shifted in a way that no one could have predicted. Liara stood taller than ever, feeling the support of the human beside her. For the first time in months, she felt truly free. The eyes of the court were upon her, the fate of the kingdom hanging in the balance, and the presence of a human ally gave her the strength to speak even louder, even bolder. And so, in the heart of the grand courtroom, a human and an alien princess stood together, ready to face the impossible, ready to challenge a system that had long thrived on fear and secrecy. The first step toward change had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The grand courtroom was still buzzing with murmurs as Princess Liara and Commander Alex stood in front of the king and the council. Every eye was on them, but Liara no longer felt fear, only determination. The human by her side exuded calm authority, and it gave her courage she hadn't known she could feel. The king, seated on his towering throne, observed the scene carefully. His hands rested lightly on the armrests, and his expression was difficult to read. He had always been in control, and yet here was a human who had bypassed all his authority and brought his own daughter into the court. The council members stiffened, their whispers growing frantic. None of them had expected this audacity. Liara cleared her throat, letting her voice echo in the vast hall. "I am here to speak for the people," she said, her violet eyes scanning the room. "For months, decisions have been made in secret. The council has acted without regard for the safety and well-being of the kingdom. I cannot allow this to continue." A low murmur rose from the courtiers. Some leaned forward curious, while others exchanged anxious glances. The council leader stepped forward, trying to regain control. "Princess Liara," he said, his voice sharp and controlled. "You cannot simply make accusations in public. The council governs with the king's guidance. Your actions are reckless and disrespectful to tradition." Commander Alex's voice cut through the tension, steady and confident. "Tradition does not excuse injustice. Evidence of wrongdoing exists, and it is in the interest of the king and the people that it be revealed. Princess Liara is not acting out of anger. She is acting to protect the kingdom." The king's eyes narrowed. He had never before seen a human speak to him with such calm authority, and yet he could not dismiss the words. His council, however, was quick to act. Several guards approached, intending to force Liara and Alex out of the court. Alex moved smoothly, stepping in front of Liara. With a gesture of his hand, he activated a small device on his belt that projected a temporary energy shield. The guards froze, their attempts halted by the invisible barrier. The court gasped. A human had never displayed such technology in their halls before. "You cannot silence her," Alex said, his voice firm. "We do not seek violence, only justice." Liara felt a surge of confidence. She had feared this confrontation for months, but now, standing with a human who understood courage and fairness, she felt unstoppable. "I will speak," she said clearly, "and the truth will be heard." The council's leader growled, realizing that intimidation would not work. He signaled to 2 more guards, hoping to overwhelm the human. But Alex anticipated the move. With swift, precise motions, he directed the energy shield to deflect the guard's advance, keeping Liara safe. Each step he took was calculated, showing a combination of intelligence, experience, and tactical skill. Some of the courtiers whispered among themselves. They had never seen a human act with such calm confidence. There was something about him that made them pause, something that forced them to reconsider their loyalty to the council. Liara took a deep breath and began to recount the council's misconduct. "They have withheld information from the king, manipulated trade agreements to benefit themselves, and endangered countless lives for personal gain," she said. "I have proof of their actions, and it will be presented today." Alex handed her a small device. "This contains records and transmissions from council chambers," he explained quietly. "Everything is time-stamped and verifiable. The people will see the truth for themselves." Liara nodded and projected the data onto a large holographic display in the center of the courtroom. Charts, communications, and evidence of sabotage appeared, floating in midair. The courtiers gasped, and many leaned closer to inspect the information. Even the king's expression changed from surprise to concern. "This cannot be ignored," Alex said firmly. "The council has acted in secret. The evidence is clear. The kingdom deserves transparency, and the princess is here to ensure it." Some council members began to argue among themselves, trying to discredit the data, but every attempt was met with logic and proof. Alex calmly countered each point, showing knowledge of the council's methods and strategies. The human was not only brave but intelligent, able to think quickly and act with precision. Liara added, "I am not here to challenge the king. I respect his position, but his council has acted without his knowledge, and it is my duty to speak before the people and reveal the truth." The king leaned forward, his gaze intense. He had always relied on tradition and loyalty, yet here was a situation where neither could fully apply. The courage of a human and the determination of his daughter had shaken the foundation of his court. Several courtiers stood up, voices raising in support of Liara. "She speaks the truth," one said. "We have long suspected the council's corruption." The council leader slammed his hand on the table, trying to regain control. "Your Majesty, this human has no right to interfere in our kingdom's affairs." Alex stepped closer, unflinching. "When injustice threatens lives and the future of a kingdom, it is everyone's right to act. We seek no power, only fairness and truth." A hush fell over the courtroom. Even the guards paused, unsure of who they should obey. The balance of power had shifted. For the first time, fear and uncertainty entered the hearts of those who had always believed themselves untouchable. Liara's voice grew stronger, The council has hidden crimes and decisions that put the kingdom at risk. I demand accountability. I demand transparency, and I will not leave until these matters are addressed." The king's face remained calm but thoughtful. He could see the courage in the human and his daughter, and he realized that intervening against them could damage his own credibility. He was faced with a choice he had never imagined: uphold tradition blindly or allow justice to prevail. The council, sensing their influence slipping, attempted one final move. A secret signal activated mechanisms beneath the courtroom floor, meant to trap or silence the princess. But Alex had anticipated such tricks. With a precise gesture, he deactivated the hidden devices, ensuring Liara's safety. The council members' faces turned pale as their plan failed. Some courtiers began to whisper, voices rising in agreement with Liara. "We have been ignored for too long," one shouted. "It is time for truth and fairness." The king rose from his throne, his voice firm yet calm. "Enough," he said, projecting authority without aggression. "I will listen. The council's actions will be examined and the princess will speak. Human, your presence here is extraordinary and your courage is noted." Alex inclined his head respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. My only goal is to support Princess Liara and ensure that truth is not hidden." The council's leader slumped slightly, realizing that their power had crumbled in the face of bravery, intelligence, and undeniable evidence. The courtiers murmured among themselves, many showing signs of approval for the princess and the human who had brought her courage into the open. Liara felt a wave of relief, but also a renewed sense of purpose. She was no longer a captive. She was a leader, a voice for her people. And now, with Alex's support, she could confront corruption without fear. "Your Majesty," she said, addressing the king directly, "the council must answer for its actions, not in private but in public, before the people. Only then can we restore trust and ensure the kingdom's safety and future." The king studied her, seeing the strength and determination in her eyes. He could feel the respect and admiration of the court around him. He realized that intervening would not only be ineffective, but would risk undermining his own authority. For the first time, he felt that justice might be more important than tradition. Alex remained silent beside Liara, allowing her to take the lead. He had done what humans often did best: act with courage, intelligence, and foresight, allowing the alien leaders to see reason through action rather than force. The council attempted one last argument, but their voices were drowned out by the rising support for the princess. The hall was no longer a place of fear and obedience. It had become a place where truth and courage commanded respect. Liara turned to the human beside her, whispering, "I could not have done this without you." Alex gave a small, confident smile. "You had the courage all along. I just made sure you could show it to everyone else." The king's gaze softened slightly as he observed the bond between human and princess. He knew that this partnership had changed the court forever. Even he, the ruler of this kingdom, could not intervene against the tide of courage and justice that now filled the hall. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the courtroom in a golden glow, the people and the council understood something extraordinary. A human's bravery and a princess's determination could challenge even the oldest traditions. A new chapter in the kingdom's history was beginning, one where justice, courage, and truth would shape the future. And at the center of it all, standing together, were a human and an alien princess, an alliance no one had expected, and one that no power in the kingdom could ignore. The courtroom had settled into an uneasy silence. Even though Liara had begun speaking and Alex had demonstrated his calm authority, the council still clung to their last remnants of influence. Their faces were pale, eyes darting between the king, the princess, and the human who dared challenge them. They whispered urgently among themselves, trying to concoct a plan, but each second brought their power further into question. Alex glanced at Liara. "Stay steady," he said softly. "Every eye is on you. Speak clearly. Keep them focused on truth, not tricks." Liara nodded. She could feel the weight of every gaze in the room, some hostile, some curious. She knew the council would not give up without resistance. But she had something they could not counter: evidence and courage. "Your Majesty," she said, lifting her chin, "we have records of secret communications and decisions that endangered not only citizens, but the stability of the kingdom. These messages show how the council bypassed your orders and acted solely for their benefit. A holographic display projected the evidence into the center of the hall. Lines of encrypted communication, financial records, and even surveillance of council meetings floated above the courtroom. Courtiers leaned in whispering. Some gasped at the details of corruption. Others shook their heads in disbelief. The council's leader tried to interrupt, waving his hands. "This is fabricated," he shouted. "You cannot prove—" Alex raised a hand, his voice calm but firm. "Every transmission is time-stamped. Every record matches the council's own systems. Attempts to discredit them now will only highlight your desperation." The king's brow furrowed. He had always trusted the council, yet he could not ignore the evidence presented before him. It was precise, undeniable, and supported by the humans' thorough knowledge of both technology and procedure. For a moment, the weight of centuries of tradition seemed to press down on him. Could he ignore what was right? Several courtiers stood, their voices rising. "It is true. We have suspected these actions for years," one said. "The council has lied and manipulated behind our backs." The council's leader turned pale, realizing that fear and uncertainty had entered the courtroom. His schemes, once hidden, were now on display for all to see. He tried one last desperate move, signaling guards to detain the princess and Alex. But Alex had already anticipated such an action. With a subtle gesture, he activated a small device on his belt, sending an electromagnetic pulse that temporarily disabled the guards' energy weapons. The hall filled with a quiet hum, then silence as the weapons deactivated. The guards looked confused, unsure of how to respond. "You cannot use fear to silence truth," Alex said firmly. "The people deserve justice. The princess is here to ensure they receive it." Liara felt a surge of confidence. She had feared confrontation for months, yet now she stood tall, supported by a human whose intelligence and courage matched her own determination. "The council has failed," she said. "They acted for themselves, not for the kingdom. They tried to hide the truth, but it has been brought into the light." Some of the king's advisors began to nod. The council's power was visibly weakening. The king himself leaned forward, studying the human and the princess with growing admiration. He realized that acting against them could undermine the very stability he wished to protect. One young court official spoke up. "Princess Liara is right. The council's decisions have caused suffering and mistrust. It is time for accountability." The murmurs of approval spread like wildfire. More courtiers rose to their feet, some clapping quietly, others expressing agreement vocally. The council members' faces turned from anger to desperation. Alex moved closer to Liara, whispering, "They are losing their influence. Keep speaking, but stay calm. Every word you say strengthens your position." Liara nodded and turned her gaze to the council. "The king is capable and wise, but he has been misled. The council attempted to manipulate him, thinking their actions would remain hidden. Now the truth is in plain sight. They cannot deny it, and they will not regain the trust of the people." The council's leader tried to argue once more, his voice shaking. "Your Majesty, this human, he has no right to interfere. He is from another world." Alex stepped forward, unwavering. "I am from another world, yes. But my only allegiance is to justice and fairness. When wrongdoing threatens lives and the future of a kingdom, it is every being's right to act. No kingdom, no matter how ancient, should allow corruption to hide in the shadows." Even the guards stopped in their tracks. The courtroom, once tense with fear, had transformed into a place where courage and truth held the authority. The king's gaze lingered on Alex, a mixture of respect and contemplation. He could feel the undeniable logic and bravery emanating from the human standing beside his daughter. The council realized that their position was no longer secure. Their whispers turned to panic, and some members attempted to leave, but the king raised his hand, stopping them. "Sit," he commanded. "This is not a matter of personal dispute. It is a matter of the kingdom's well-being." Liara took a deep breath. "The people deserve transparency, Your Majesty. I ask that the council answer for its actions before the court, so that trust can be restored. Let us act openly, without fear, without manipulation." The king nodded slowly. "Very well. Let the council respond." One by one, the council members tried to justify their actions, but every explanation faltered under the weight of evidence. Alex quietly observed, noting every lie, every hesitation, every inconsistency. He did not need to speak. The truth spoke for itself. Some courtiers began to offer their own testimony, revealing additional evidence of council wrongdoing. Their voices, once suppressed by fear, now carried openly. It became clear that corruption had been widespread, and the people had long been silenced. The king's expression softened. "I see now," he said, his voice steady. "The council has betrayed the trust of this kingdom. Princess Liara has spoken rightly, and I will not intervene to protect those who acted in secrecy and deceit." A hush fell over the hall. Even the council could not find words. Their schemes had been exposed, their authority diminished. The courtiers whispered, some in relief, some in amazement at the courage of the human and the princess. Liara turned to Alex, a faint smile of gratitude on her lips. "We did it," she whispered. Alex nodded. "This is only the beginning. But the first step, exposing the truth, has been taken." The king addressed the court. "The council's actions will be reviewed. Those responsible will be held accountable. Princess Liara will oversee the reforms necessary to restore trust in our kingdom." The court erupted in murmurs of approval. Many courtiers and officials stood, some applauding quietly, others nodding in agreement. The atmosphere shifted from tension to hope. A kingdom once ruled by fear and secrecy was beginning to embrace transparency and justice. Liara felt a wave of relief and determination. The council had lost its grip, but the work of restoring the kingdom had just begun. She would need to guide the reforms, ensure fairness, and build trust among the people. But with Alex's support, she felt capable of meeting the challenge. Alex remained beside her, his calm presence reassuring. "You were the one who spoke with courage," he said. "I only made sure the truth could be seen." Liara looked at him and nodded. "Together we have changed the course of this kingdom. Your bravery, your intelligence, and your steadiness made this possible." The king observed them both, realizing that sometimes the actions of one human and one determined princess could achieve what centuries of tradition and power had not. Even he could not have imagined a more effective combination of courage, wisdom, and strategy. As the sun set, bathing the courtroom in a warm golden glow, the king spoke once more. "Let it be known that justice has been served today. Princess Liara has spoken with wisdom, and a human, an outsider, has reminded us that courage and fairness are not limited by species or tradition." The courtiers and officials murmured their agreement. The council, defeated and exposed, slunk back to their seats, unable to argue further. A new era for the kingdom had begun, led by truth, courage, and unexpected allies. Liara turned to Alex once more. "This is only the beginning. The kingdom will need guidance, reforms, and careful leadership. Are you ready to continue with me?" Alex smiled. "I am ready. The people deserve a chance, and together we can ensure they receive it." And so, in the heart of the grand courtroom, a human and an alien princess stood together, victorious against corruption and fear. The council had been exposed, the king had acknowledged the truth, and a kingdom once ruled by secrecy and manipulation was now beginning its journey toward justice, transparency, and hope. The alliance between human and princess was no longer a curiosity. It was a symbol of courage and fairness, one that would inspire the people and shape the kingdom for generations to come. The court had quieted after the dramatic confrontation. The council members, once powerful and feared, sat in uneasy silence, realizing their influence had crumbled. Princess Liara and Commander Alex stood side by side, their calm authority a stark contrast to the fear and desperation now evident on the council's faces. The king rose from his throne, his expression thoughtful. "The council has been exposed," he said. "Their actions have endangered the kingdom and violated the trust I placed in them. I will ensure that justice is carried out and reforms will begin immediately." Liara nodded, her violet eyes steady. "Your Majesty, the kingdom deserves transparency and fairness. With the council removed from positions of unchecked power, we can begin to restore trust and ensure the safety of our people." Alex stepped forward. "The council's influence can be neutralized not just by punishment, but by creating systems that prevent such corruption in the future. Technology, records, and clear procedures can ensure accountability." The king's advisors exchanged impressed glances. A human had entered their court and not only defended the princess but also proposed practical solutions for long-term stability. The king himself could not deny the logic in Alex's suggestions. Several courtiers stood, speaking up for the first time since the confrontation began. "Princess Liara is right. We have waited too long for change. Now is the time to act, not merely speak." The king raised his hand to quiet the rising voices. Very well. We will implement immediate reforms. The council will no longer have unchecked authority. Princess Liara will oversee the establishment of new policies to ensure justice and fairness. And Commander Alex. He paused, looking directly at the human. Your actions have demonstrated courage, intelligence, and wisdom. You have my gratitude and respect. Alex inclined his head respectfully. Thank you, Your Majesty. My goal has always been to support Princess Liara and ensure the kingdom receives the fairness it deserves. The council leader, now visibly pale, attempted one last plea. Your Majesty, surely the human's involvement. The king's voice cut him off, firm and decisive. Silence. Your actions have endangered the kingdom. You will face consequences, but no longer will you control or manipulate the people. Liara stepped forward, addressing the court directly. This is not about punishment alone. It is about rebuilding trust. The kingdom deserves leaders who act with integrity and systems that ensure accountability. Together we can achieve this. A cheer rose quietly among some courtiers, growing louder as more officials stood in support. For the first time in years, the courtroom was filled not with fear, but with hope. Alex motioned to Liara. We should begin implementing the systems I prepared. Technology can monitor council actions, track decisions, and ensure transparency. It will help prevent future corruption. Liara agreed. Yes, with your help, we can build a framework for accountability that will last generations. The king nodded. Very well. Let the reforms begin immediately. Princess Liara, you have my full support. Over the next several days, the palace became a hub of activity. New councils were formed with officials chosen for integrity and fairness, while the old council members were reassigned or removed from positions of authority. The princess worked tirelessly alongside Alex, studying the kingdom's systems and implementing safeguards that would prevent future abuses of power. Alex introduced technology that allowed council decisions to be recorded and audited. Holographic systems tracked votes, expenditures, and communications, making transparency unavoidable. Liara oversaw the implementation, ensuring the people were involved and informed. The citizens of the kingdom noticed the change immediately. Reports of secret manipulations and harmful decisions became impossible to hide. For the first time, they felt their voices mattered. Courtiers who had been silent for fear of punishment now spoke openly, sharing insights and helping guide reforms. One afternoon, as Liara reviewed reports with Alex, she smiled. The kingdom is already responding. People are engaged. They are hopeful for the first time in decades. Alex nodded. It is remarkable what courage and transparency can do. You've inspired not just the people, but even your own officials. This is the beginning of a new era. The king, observing from his throne, called a meeting with Liara and Alex. I have watched closely, he said. Your actions have demonstrated that courage, intelligence, and honesty are more powerful than tradition or fear. I am proud of both of you. Liara bowed respectfully. Thank you, Your Majesty. But none of this would have been possible without Commander Alex's guidance and support. His experience and perspective have been invaluable. Alex smiled faintly. I only ensured that your voice could be heard. The change is yours, Princess. You led the people with integrity. As weeks passed, the reform strengthened. Citizens saw a council accountable to the people, with oversight systems that made corruption difficult. Officials acted transparently, knowing that dishonesty would no longer go unnoticed. Liara became a symbol of fairness and justice, admired not only for her courage but also for her wisdom in leading the kingdom toward a brighter future. Alex, though still an outsider, became respected as a trusted advisor and strategist. His actions had shown that humanity, with its combination of courage, intelligence, and moral clarity, could inspire even alien societies. Courtiers and citizens alike began to see humans not just as visitors, but as allies and examples of how bravery and wisdom could bring change. One evening, as the sun set over the palace, Liara stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The streets were alive with people celebrating the changes, cheering for justice and the promise of a better future. Alex joined her, silent for a moment as he observed the scene. You've done it, he said quietly. You've changed the kingdom. Liara smiled. We've done it together. Your presence here made all the difference. The people now see that courage, truth, and fairness matter more than fear or tradition. Alex nodded. It is a lesson that transcends worlds. Courage can inspire, and truth can overcome even the most entrenched power structures. Liara looked out at the horizon, her silver hair catching the last rays of the sun. I have hope now, real hope. The kingdom can thrive and the people will be safe. And we've proven that one human, standing with one determined leader, can make a difference that echoes across generations. The king entered the balcony quietly. I have observed your work, he said. You have restored not only order but trust. The kingdom owes you both a debt of gratitude, Liara bowed. Thank you, your majesty. But the true reward is seeing the people's lives improve. That is the greatest honor. The king nodded. Indeed, and I have learned a lesson as well. Sometimes wisdom and courage come from unexpected places. This human has shown us what it means to act with integrity and bravery. Alex felt a quiet satisfaction. It has been my honor to serve, your majesty. The princess's courage made my task possible. Liara placed a hand on his shoulder. We make a good team. I could not have faced the court alone. Your presence gave me strength, clarity, and support when I needed it most. The king observed the bond between the human and the princess, and realized that it represented more than alliance. It symbolized unity, trust, and the power of collaboration across worlds. He knew that the kingdom's future was secure because courage and truth had prevailed, and because humanity had left a mark that would inspire generations to come. In the days that followed, the kingdom flourished. Citizens felt empowered, officials acted responsibly, and the palace became a center of transparency and fairness. The council's former members either adapted to the new system or retired quietly, unable to operate in a world where integrity was essential. Liara and Alex continued to work together, building systems, guiding reforms, and inspiring hope. The kingdom's transformation became a story told across planets, a tale of courage, truth, and the extraordinary impact one human could have when standing alongside a determined leader. As night fell over the city, Liara looked at Alex and said, The kingdom is safe, the people are hopeful, and justice has been restored. None of this would have been possible without you. Alex smiled softly. It is your courage that made the difference, princess. I only helped you show it to the world. And so the human and the alien princess stood together, their alliance a testament to bravery, wisdom, and the power of truth. The court had been changed, the kingdom reformed, and even the king recognized that the courage of one human could alter the course of an entire civilization. For the first time in decades, the kingdom looked to the future with hope, and it was clear that nothing, not tradition, not fear, not corruption, could undo the legacy of courage and fairness that had been forged that day. The story of a human bringing an alien princess before the court and succeeding where even the king could not intervene became legend, a reminder that courage, truth, and unity could overcome even the most entrenched power, and that heroes could come from anywhere, even from another world.